Good morning, and it's Lilia from Heal Scotland and Scotland's Wild Medicine here again. And with me all the way from Holland, I
Yeah.
have, I don't even know what your second name is, Sharon.
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin. Right. Sharon
Welcome.
McLaughlin, who's clearly Scottish, but lives overseas at the moment and is coming back for both festivals. So thank you so much for, giving your time to Heal Scotland and your time this morning. I so appreciate it. How are you?
You're very, very welcome. Yeah, thank you for everything that you're doing for the Scottish health and the community. It's amazing. Fantastic.
So listen, it's really nice to speak to female Wim Hof instructors. I spoke to Victoria, I think it was yesterday or the day before. So I think it can be seen, which I think is a good thing, is a very kind of masculine, how long can you hold your breath? How much can you breathe? And how long can you stay in the ice kind of thing? But really, as you and I both know, the power, what it's given us is priceless, really. How did you get into it? How did you discover it?
Yeah, good question. I'll try and keep it short because it's quite a long story. But basically, well, I grew up, first of all, to tell the people that don't know me, I was born and bred in Barhead, or Borheat, as a lot of people like to say. And I grew up and I had a lot of, like autoimmune things going on in my body, asthma, this kind of thing, allergies, all things that you could kind of live with. But as I got older, they weren't getting any better. They were getting actually getting worse. And I think I was about 33 weeks pregnant and I had an anaphylactic shock reaction. I was sitting eating a piece of cake at the time that someone gave me and I went into anaphylactic shock. And because I was pregnant, they didn't really know what they could do. They didn't know if they could give adrenaline and all this kind of stuff. So it took a really long time to get like treatment. And to cut a long story short, me and my unborn child were, on the brink of death. And luckily, thankfully, we both survived. And when I came out of it, I thought, okay, so they told me, right, we're going to do all these tests. We need to find out what it was. We'll send you to the top experts. And I came to this allergy expert in the Netherlands and I walked in and the first thing he said to me was, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I said, well, what loss? And he said, obviously the baby has died. I said, oh no, he's here in the buggy. Yeah. So the next thing that the guy said to me was, well, what did you do? How did you survive it? And I thought, oh, wait a minute, I'm here for answers from him, but he actually wanted to know how we'd got through it. Because this was the first documented case ever that a baby had survived an anaphylactic shock reaction in a pregnant mother.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's quite amazing. So to cut a long story short, what I actually did through the whole episode was I breathed, and like an MF, as one would say, I breathed, and I went back to training I'd had for my asthma when I was younger, and I went back to the training that I'd had, as being pregnant. You go to these, what they call prenatal classes. And I just breathed. That was the only thing I had, because they were having these conversations all around about me, like, what can we do? Oh, we can't do anything. She's pregnant. We don't know, oh, we're losing her. We're going to lose the baby. And I just kept breathing, and I really focused. Also because you're very, the asthma, you're having trouble breathing. So I was really making a lot of effort to breathe and making a conscious decision. I knew that I had to do this to keep both of us alive. So basically, I went through all these tests. They couldn't find out what the allergy was. They've still never found out. They've still never been able to qualify that. So they sent me away. I don't know if you'll see it with this EpiPen. This is an adrenaline shot. And they told me, if you get this allergy again and you're not in a hospital within 15 minutes, you'll probably die. And so I always kind of knew, you can use breath work if something happens. But then I came across Wim Hof, and also because at that time I was reading a lot on the Kilimanjaro, and obviously I live in Holland. Wim's Dutch. You would see him popping up in magazines now and again, and I just thought, what a crazy guy this is. But I was starting to read up stuff on the Kilimanjaro as well, and I came across an article, and it said that he could influence his autoimmune system, and that it had been proven by science. So I thought, okay, right, I need to look into this more. And what I realised was that with the breath work and the cold exposure, you can influence your autoimmune system and you can influence it preventively. Because what I had learned was you can use the breath work in an emergency or when you have an attack of asthma or whatever. But now I learned that I could use it preventively to improve my health. And so that a long story, but that's what got me into it.
That's a phenomenal story, though. Because I've
Thank
been
you.
reading about, like the biggest, best indicator that you're going to have a heart attack is the amount of times you breathe per minute for the
Yeah,
48 hours leading up to it. So
yeah,
then the preventative part of that would be slow down your
yeah,
breath work, and how even if you're having an episode, how you can breathe
yeah,
through it, and because obviously what normally happens is we go into panic, don't we? Because you
yeah,
don't know what's happening and you've
absolutely.
never been taught just
Yeah.
calm down.
Absolutely,
It's
and you breathe very much here. Obviously with people as well with asthma, it's very much chest breathing. And I think with me being pregnant as well, and I'd also done stuff like meditation, mindfulness, I was communicating with my baby the whole time. And in doing that, I was very consciously breathing for both of us. So it wasn't just here, it was both of us, getting the oxygen down there where he needed that as well. Because I mean, I went into shock, he went into shock as well. That's the bottom line. And he was born by emergency C-section 6 weeks early.
yeah. So obviously you had a bit of a background training, but there was a big bit of
Yeah,
intuition came in there, and you're in
yeah,
it because obviously you went into survival, and it's that beautiful calm place where you just kind of knew, well, you've nothing else that you could turn to apart from the breath, I suppose.
no,
And you
absolutely, absolutely.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. I did not know that. That's a really cool story.
And
So
it's the fundamental thing that we've all got with us all the time, all day long. We've all got it with us. But no one takes you as a baby and says, look, I'm going to teach you how to breathe. We don't do it. We don't do it with our kids. We don't teach them how to breathe properly.
they start teaching the monks at 5.
Oh, wow.
The how to breathe, and that's really what we should be doing as well. Instead of
Yeah.
doing drama, and it's teaching them how to respond using the breath. It's
Mm.
just such a no-brainer, and it's free. Obviously, we don't
Yeah.
need any
See?
equipment.
Yeah.
So, how did you end up going and training with the man himself?
Right. So, well, I'm a teacher. I work at university in Holland, and I went on first of all, just a Wim Hof workshop with another instructor here in Holland. Hated the
Yes,
cold. I was terrified of the ice bath, and I went and done that. And then I thought, you know what? I want to go and meet Wim, the man himself. And when I was like Googling workshops, I found that there was also an instructor training. And way back then, because this was in 2018, the price wasn't that much difference between just being a participant and going all in and being an instructor. So, and me being a teacher, like I've always known, if you want to learn something really, really well, then learn how to teach it. Because if you can teach it to someone else, then you definitely know it really well.
yes,
And I
yes.
wanted all the background, I wanted all the science, I wanted, to me it had to be proven. I didn't want, like, I'll tell you, the first time I went to Stroe in the Netherlands, where Wim has his workshops, I thought, oh my God, hippie shit, wahoos all over the place. This is not for me. Because I was very much, into the science and all that kind of stuff way back then. And I'll tell you, I have changed so much. Like, I'm the biggest wahoo out of all of them these days. I'm right up there. But yeah, I get that. That can be very off-putting for people in the beginning because they think like, oh my God, all these kind of alternative types and what they're all doing, dancing around campfires and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really changed me. It's really opened me up as well to a lot of new things and a lot of spiritual things. So I decided I'll do the training. I'll get all the background knowledge, but I'm never going to be an instructor. I'm never going to give workshops. I'm just doing it purely for myself. But then you start talking to people about it and they ask and they're like, oh, can you show me the breath work? And it was just amazing. The results were just amazing from day one. That's the gift. That's the gift that you get from being an instructor, is seeing other people transform through what you can give them, what you can teach them.
Yeah, I mean, there's no greater gift than that, is there?
No.
It's just incredible. And I always, you forget, because when you've been in the breath world forever, then, whether it would be before Wim Hof, although I have to say I never really cared about breath work until I started doing the Wim Hof method. Then I was like, oh no, this is it. Why did nobody teach me this when I was 5? But
Yeah.
being able to, when still sometimes I was teaching at the weekend, and I do a wee kind of Lilia breath work with the sound frequencies that I have on this
Yeah.
software. And some, one person had never done any kind of breath work before. I know, but it's always fascinates me because it's so incredible when you meet that beautiful place and space for the first time and you've not done it before. It's amazing to be able to give that to somebody. But also, as we experienced last year, the power of the collective and get people together like that, all you guys in your kilts, everybody breathing. I mean, people are still talking about that. The power of that. It was just magical. Absolutely.
It's absolutely amazing. And obviously we're going to do that again this year on Sunday. And I'm so looking forward to it because the energy that you get out of that, the energy that you can share with each other.
Yes.
It's just amazing. But I would also like to just mention to people that we are doing smaller sessions as well, because I do understand that these big, large sessions can be a bit overwhelming if it's your first time doing breath work. So we're going to be up there as well with a TP, and we're going to be doing smaller group sessions from between 6 to 8 people. For people that either want to do breath work every single day, come along, join us every day, or for people that want more information on the, you'll be up there, yeah. More information on the science, or they want to ask questions, or they want personal feedback on their breath work, because we can also look at a person. We Wim Hof instructors, we know now the dynamics of how it all works, and we can look at a person, we can see how they're breathing, and we can give you feedback on that. And so we're doing that all day Saturday actually, and on Sunday morning on the hour we have breathwork sessions in the TP for smaller groups, and we are also offering one-on-one or a breathwork for couples if you want real personal attention. And another thing I want to mention as well is I'm also doing 2 workshops on trauma release breath work, which is a slightly different technique. I do combine it with the Wim Hof thing, but it's specifically focused on releasing trauma from the body.
Brilliant. Did you send that to Kirsten?
I did, yeah, I did send it to Kirsten, yeah. She's up to date, she's got all the info, yeah.
She said to me she was working on, because getting that out for people, because trauma is like just a huge, huge thing for, let's face it, pretty much everybody. And I think it's coming into an awareness now that instead of staying in that kind of victim, why did this happen to me? We just have to go, how do we get this out of this body? And for me, breath is just one of the most powerful ways to do it.
And I think a lot of people don't think of trauma, they think really heavy stuff. I mean, all of us have got some kind of trauma in our body. And it's all about how as you're a child, if you have something, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I got chased once to school by a big dog. I mean, that was pretty traumatic. I was in primary school and a big thickened dog chased me to school. Now, if I came home and I was able to cry and I was able to tell my mum, and, everybody in the family understood that I was afraid of dogs after that, it made sense. But if you don't do that, if you don't process that, that gets locked away somewhere in your cells, in your body somewhere. And it can even be the smallest thing. But if you don't process it, it can come back years and years later and cause you medical problems.
Absolutely, because the body's holding the score, and our bodies are holding far too much score now. We need to get it out. And I just think like that breath work, because you're not going into the story, it's just something you can do. You're always going to feel better. But something you said there, I think, like, it seems that the main benefit that you've had from Wim Hof was how it's expanded you and your mind, and how you're kind of up there, shouting about and dancing about it as well. So I was talking to Craig Grant, who you'll meet. He is doing the harmonium session at the yoga on the Sunday morning, and I was saying, why, what can we do to attract more men? And then I was thinking afterwards, there's a lot of people just too scared to come to something like this, and you're like, is that because they think it's almost like, well, wait, about yoga, about breathwork, it's all fairly down to earth stuff, but yet there still can be a reticence to actually come forward and just get involved and let your hair down, which is really kind of what we're talking about. Because I think as Scottish, we're, we like to take the piss out of people that
Yeah.
are not doing things the way we're doing it. You don't drink. What do you mean you don't drink? You don't do this. You're not going to that shite, are you? You know, it's like, well, actually, we're living in a time where the NHS is completely breaking down. I don't know where that's going to be in the next 5 years. What are you going to do to look after your body? We
Yeah.
have to. It's not a case of, oh, it's quite nice and there's some people that look after themselves. It's like, if you don't understand this stuff and you're not able to stay well, I just don't know how it's going to pan out. So I think really it's, what would you say? I mean, you went to learn, you kind of looked and judged a little bit, as we all do. And then but you were there for a very specific reason. How do you think, is there a way we can break down these barriers and really encourage people that are sitting on the fence to come along, male or female?
I mean, I think just lead by example, to be honest. I mean, it's also, I think it's important for people to realise that what's so great about this community is that you can be yourself. And I mean, whether that is, you know, a complete, you know, dancing in the moonlight to, you know, a computer nerd, it does not matter, because everybody is welcome and everybody is so kind and nice, you know, to each other, because we just celebrate life, and it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Everybody is allowed to be themselves at these events, and I think that's really important to remember as well. And I would also like to say we will be there as Wim Hof instructors wearing our green t-shirts, and please, you know, come up, tap us on the shoulder, just say hello, just tell us your name and introduce yourself. And we are so happy just to talk to people about all parts of it. And we all come with our own backgrounds as well and our own specialisms, and it's just like, talk to us, just come up, don't be shy.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think, you know, nobody's got one hat anymore. You know, you're not just a hypnotherapist, you're not just a hairdresser, or a teacher. You've of all these, you learn one thing which then takes you to the other, and that's the brilliant thing of the internet. You can learn so much on YouTube from other people, you know, that can really sort of expand your understanding of the body and feeling better. And I think it's going to be great this year. Like you said, you guys will be very easy to identify. Anybody listening to this, either live now or on a replay, if they would like a one-to-one, if they just want a chat, because I know the very first time I saw people, and it was in Northern Ireland, going into the sea, it was November, and I had all my winter kit on, and I was like, my pal and I stopped and were like, they're mental. But then I thought, clearly you don't do that for nothing. You clearly get something out of that. So that was what piqued my interest, and I was like, okay, right. And then I met, by coincidence, but not obviously, that evening I met this girl who'd been part of the group. She said, and she just looked at me and she said, "You love this." She said, "You have to try it." And at that point, living in Malta, no desire to get cold, much prefer to not. I thought no, and then really the key for me was curiosity, but also postmenopausal arthritis. And I'd read about the chronic pain, cold water helping chronic pain, and I just was like that. My intuition was screaming, get in there. And people still think I like the cold, and I don't. I do it, and I use it to get the good stress, and I thank my lucky stars every day that it's just right there in front of me and I can access it easily and get into the sea.
Absolutely.
So, and it's quick. You know, I'll quite often do my breath work, but even if I can't do my breath work, I'll just go in and get cold, and that allows me to maintain a pain-free body.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant for all the inflammation, and also for your headspace. I mean, it's an amazing tool, and as you say, it's free. Most of the time it's there, and even if you're just in a cold shower at home, I mean, I'm like you, I sometimes really, you know, struggle to get in the cold. I don't always love it, but I know I'm going to love the feeling that I get afterwards.
That's exactly it. And I think the big, you know, when I started doing it myself at first, it wasn't nearly as, I don't know what year it was, a long time ago. There was nothing really on YouTube. There was one book that a guy had written that I bought, and I don't think the app was even out at that point, but I would go in and I would stay in there and wondering how long I'd been in.
Mhm.
And then I
Yeah.
thought, you know what, actually, I'm going to stop making it such a, I'm just going to, even if I just run and jump in and come right back out, I'm just going to let my body
Yeah.
build up gradually, and I'm going to break down the rules. And, you know, and certainly over the years, then I learned a lot more about it. You understand it. I used to think that that I was, when the pain went away, it was because I was going numb. And I think there is an element of that. But obviously now you understand about the body, you know, shutting down the pain receptors and, you know, changing the chemistry and bringing the, so it's so intelligent. The
Yeah.
body is so intelligent, and that's what we miss out on. It's crazy. So come along to the festival, people.
Yeah.
And even if you're not coming to the full festival, you can come and meet the Wim Hof instructors. They're going to be out at Tarbert Holiday Park the whole weekend, and you'll probably see them at some of the other venues as well in the marquee. But you can ask them any questions. If you have problems with anxiety and depression, inflammation, which everybody has, I think, these days, then have a chat. Everyone's come through their story, and they're an amazing bunch, given their time to us, the people of Scotland, in Tarbert and then in Skye, to help get the word about this magnificent fundamentals out to the world and beyond. And it's growing, isn't it? Even since last year, there's so many more people getting into it. And that's what we need. Every community has their own little group, because this is for the people, by the people. And there's nothing better than coming to a class or a fundamentals workshop. And one of the big things is you'll get to meet like-minded people. And there's definitely power in collective breathing. There's no doubt about it. That if you can't do it for whatever reason, you can, you know, put on a YouTube video and lie in your bed and just make yourselves feel better.
Yeah.
So,
And also I think as well it's really important, you know, to be a good example for the next generation. It's like, you know, get all the parents out there, get them, you know, doing the cold dip and doing the breath work, because your kids will pick up on that as well, you know, and, you know, get them started, get working on preventative medicine. Stop waiting until we get sick and then calling the doctor. Let's work on preventative medicine and community, because that's the other big part of it as well.
100%. Because the community's key, because we were saying that as the kind of pub culture's dropped away and died away. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still really enjoy going to the pub and having a good laugh with my pals, but that's not available the way it used to be when I was younger. So what else are we going to be doing? We need to create new ways to have fun and to have joy and have a bit of laugh and a bit of nonsense, because life gets very, very serious. So that's why I was like, festivals are the way. And I think regardless of what kind of festival you're going to, is festivals basically just say, rock up, you know, leave your day job behind and be whoever you want to be.
Yeah.
And, you know, and my friend Sarah, she was saying it's like a buffet. You've got all Tarbert of all the different things and all the different people and healers and speakers and teachers, etc., for you to speak to and learn from, because we have to learn how to fly this baby.
It's amazing.
Yes, so thank you so much. Sorry, did you have something else to add there?
No, I just was going to say about the big water dip as well on Sunday, because we're going to do the big breathwork session and then we'll all be getting in the water. And again, just to say, if anyone's anxious about that, if they've never done a cold dip before, just come and tap us on the shoulder. And my phone number is actually going to be getting published as well. Send me a WhatsApp, let me know, and we'll come over and we will literally hold your hand. We will literally go in that water with you step by step. So just don't be scared and let us know and reach out, because that's what we're there for.
That's a very good point, because I know that very often when you do it in the group, you're more likely to stay in until you get that. If you do it yourself, it's very easy to bail. Whereas when you're at the group, and certainly having somebody that can keep you breathing as you're walking there, have got anxiety. And, you know, it just amazes me, the people that show up, and just because it takes courage to show up anyway these days. So,
but they don't need to do it by themselves. You know, show up, get your ticket booked, show up, and you don't need to do the rest by yourself, because there are so many people there that can help you and support you. And just, you know, just open up, just reach out, and we'll be there.
And there's going to be an online form for people to sign. So if you can do that before you come, even if you're just coming for the big beach breathe, please make sure you do that. We will have some, but just saves an awful lot of time for us on the day, so that we can just get on with the breathing. Okay, listen, fantastic, Sharon. Thanks so much.
Thank
and I know
you.
you're instrumental in herding the instructors, so I really appreciate it. And I
Great,
will
thanks a lot.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you.